But people are not designed to be blueprints of each other.
Right.
They are designed to be flexible and full of color and life. And that does mean that their mind is going to work diversely one minute to the next.
Right, and you can't, and nobody can force you, and likewise you can't force anybody else to believe exactly the way that you believe or the way that you think, because that's really inhibiting. I mean, you're doing a disservice to each other because that's inhibiting y'all's growth.
That's right. You know, likewise, you can't bury who you are inside around other individuals because you're inhibiting their growth. You are not sharing with them possibilities. And you're also burying yourself to a point where the repression will make you forget even yourself who you are. And that is the least thing that you should be doing. Fact of the matter is, we're to be happy with who we are. We're to share that with others. And if others can't stand to be around us for who we are, then you don't need them to begin with.
Right.
You know, maybe you're putting yourself in a wrong box or in the wrong room with the wrong crowd. You know? But so much we feel that we have to work to fit in or to be accepted by so many others or controlled by family. And it's just not so. Whenever we do smarten up and we spin our head around a few times, shake it out, and we realize that we haven't been happy for so many years, we start evaluating why, and usually it boils down to other people.
It's funny that you say spin your head around a few times after your most recent video.
Oh, possessed. Oh yes, going into my dark self.
Right, but seriously, I mean that's the way it is. Is that you've got to change to be able to. You've got to be. Sometimes you need to go into beast mode to be able to take care of what hasn't been taken care of.
Is it really beast mode though, going into your dark self? I mean, can you really say of it that?
I say that because I say that because I'm a gamer, and beast mode basically equals
real life.
Badass. It's
right.
Like,
and badassedness.
Yeah.
But I mean, going into your dark self, that's a very, very important topic there. I mean, your light side and your dark side. If you don't know your light side because you profess to be extremely and entirely dark, do you really know yourself implicitly? And if you claim to be completely light and nothing in your dark side whatsoever, are you being completely honest? I mean, in all reality, doesn't your dark side come out to other people whether you want it to or not?
Yeah, I would think that somebody that professes to be completely dark is just or completely light, but we're talking about dark. Somebody that professes to be completely dark is really just lying to themselves, because it's like, okay, well, you've got.
But then when such and such hurts their feeling on their channel by saying something that knocks them on their ass, they're like, well, she said something about me, and then those whines tells you that there's a soul in there.
Right, I mean, something...
And remind you that emotion can pour out from you, and you can't be implicitly dark then.
Right, something had to hurt your feelings right there, I mean...
Humans are actually implicitly both, no matter how dark they could be.
Right.
I mean, Adolf Hitler probably could have gotten his butt hurt whenever his wife would leave him or whatever, whatever. There had to be some emotion in there somewhere, although, it was very vague.
Well,
and yes, I mean, the man was pretty evil.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was evil as hell. I mean, you've got, as a child, he had the hell beat out of him, by his dad.
And that's where he was probably within his light self for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But then went more to what people would determine to be his darkest side.
Right.
After that.
And it's not necessary for you to sympathize with evil people like that, but it really is necessary for you to understand. I mean,
you've really got to understand what lies within everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
and that does lie within everyone, although there are those that nurture it and feed it and raise it up, and then there are those that know to obtain a balance and hold it in check. Charlie Manson did not hold his dark side in check. And his craziness prevailed over everything. But I'm sure with this conversation, when I mentioned to Adolf Hitler, a dozen dark-minded people that are watching this show actually batted an eye and went a little bit into emotion there. About what Adolf Hitler did to so many masses.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is people do like to relish in the fact that they're very dark, or relish in the fact that they're very light, a lot of them. But the fact of the matter is that there's light and dark in all of us.
Yeah, there's no truth in deluding yourself that you're all one thing or you're all the other.
And though in life, and I agree, but though in life, a lot of people really do not like to venture into thinking about the light side and dark side on a regular basis, there's no more important place to evaluate all sides of yourself than within spirituality. In spirituality, it's very, very important for you to know all about yourself. And if you don't know all about yourself, to get in tune with all of the different aspects of yourself. Because let's say that you have a spirit invade your house that's very dark. The spirit likes to hide from you in your lightest side. It will not, nothing entirely dark can dwell within the infinite light. So, you're not infinitely light, but you're light enough to scare it. It's going to hide out whenever it's in your house, right?
Right.
But you want to get to the bottom of what's there. So you can swing over into your dark side, so you could sit back, smoke a cigarette if you smoke, or drink a cup of whiskey if you drink, and say, okay, you know what? All right, you son of a bitch. It's time for you to come out and have a little conversation with me, because now I'm going to meet you on your level.
Well, yeah, because you can't. If you're in a light persona and this spirit is dark, then you're not going to be able to meet at the same level. You're not going to be able to understand this spirit. Whereas, like you said, if you can sit down with it, you can understand it, and if you can understand it, then you can deal with it in whatever way you deem is necessary.
And to even understand where he's coming from, you have to do that little mind swing thing.
Yeah.
You have to put yourself on his level to come to terms with why he's there and get the information out of him even.
Right.
Otherwise, he's going to hide from you because he's afraid you're going to cleanse and consecrate him out right then. Well, use this as a growing experience. Learn from it. Why is it there? How can you deal with it and make sure it's actually gone? Because sure, you can start saging the hell out of your house and sprinkling around the holy water. Get a minister to come over and you can do a few kumbayas. But he's just hiding in a corner.
Well, even if you get rid of the spirit, it doesn't really... that's really kind of an opportunity for maybe even in some people's beliefs, it might be an opportunity from your deities to make you stronger as a spirit.
The test. Even in Christianity, we're prone to getting tests. Jesus went onto the Mount for 40 days and 40 nights to be tempted by Satan while fasting for this long. And so, it's throughout all of our cultures and religions that we're to be tempted or we're to bear stripes in a hard way at some points in time.
So instead of burning down the house with holy fire, then why not use that to become more attuned with yourself and become stronger? That way you can understand these these kind of spirits, so that you can understand yourself
and even identify them in the future.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how many people out there know what a dreamweaver is from a threadbare, or a reaper from either one of the other two? A collector of spirits, which is your reaper. I mean, would you know what you're looking at whenever you're seeing one? Or how about the tempters, or things of that nature? You know? Who knows that a dreamweaver is going to thread, you know, throughout your sleep, different ideas that it wants you to have, so that later on the reaper can come and harvest you. You know, or the threadbare in your waking life feed to you information from other people's voices, whether the people know it or not, or even just in music. You know, and there's where it fits in a lot of times, where adults, you know, your older adults think that rock music is you know,
the devil's music
and hypnotizing you into a bad place or whatever. Well, in some ways it can be, but it's a very rare thing. You know.
Right, and that's a very interesting point, because I mean, and that's a good reason for you to, in the situation that you gave about the dark spirit, instead of, like I said, burning down your house with holy fire, and you should use that opportunity to become stronger, because in a situation in which life's tearing you down, life's hard. You want to be strong. So instead of having one of those situations to where, you know, everything seems to not be going your way, and then you get trigger after trigger, you know, your girlfriend just broke up with
Things
you.
Things just collapse around you.
Yeah, and then you hear, you know, Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day, and you just start getting sadder and sadder, and you feel like cutting your wrist, and, you know, instead of doing that, you want to be a strong individual.
You want to say, you know what, this is going to help me get through a lot more spaces in life.
Well, you want to be strong in that situation, so that you, instead of letting it completely tear down your spirit, then you can say, okay, whether it's in your dark or your light self, you can say, screw this person, you know, I'm going to get past this. Or you can say, you know, this person, or on the flip side of the coin, you can say, okay, well, this person's happy, and I could be happy with that. And then...
Yeah, but the human being, a lot of times, is just too weak for that.
I know.
And they just throw in the towel too easy today. I mean, why do they have this thing that I'm hearing of so much of the time called suicide patrol? And I know it may just be a layman's term, or whatever, you know, people just talking and shit. But why are people saying it so often?
Right. It's because people lose hope. It's because people don't. They're
letting those demons talk to them.
Yeah.
And get through and steer them in the wrong direction, or take them down, when they could be saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to listen to this fucker for a while, but then I'm going to take its information and I'm going to use that in knowing how to defeat them in the future.
Right. It's about everybody always thinks it's not about being dark, it's about being balanced, you know?
And playing into your dark side a lot, being more over in your dark side, is okay, as long as you control that.
Yeah.
You know how to control your light and your dark aspects of self. Getting to know those are very, very important. But, know that they're there for a reason, and they create your gray self, which is what is supposed to control throughout the day and night, which is a balance of both. That way you don't jump over the counter of the person that refuses to take your return at the store, and you don't commence to strangling them. Or you don't, sit there and buy up a shitload of vacuum cleaners from the door-to-door salesman because you just don't know how to say no. You know how to take care of things.
Or, like in my particular situation, and this was because I had such hope for humanity at one point, and I still kind of do to some degree. But it's like, I saw the world with rose-colored glasses, so to speak. Idealistic, and it's like, whenever you see the world that way, somebody's gonna take those spectacles and they're gonna smash them, and everything is just not.
Well, how many times are we brought down to earth in this world?
Yeah, because it's a false reality, and whenever you're brought down, it hurts.
But we're talking about in specific situations. And they're fewer and further between than what we're sounding like here.
Yeah.
Let's not feed to the world there's a lot of false hope and that everything's in rose-colored glasses.
Well, no, it's not that. It's not so much that there's false hope and that you shouldn't see the good in people. It's just that you need to see the reality in everyday little things.
Absolutely. You do. You have to see it. But sometimes you have to look at things in the negative to see the negative.
Yeah, exactly.
Too much of the time we sit there thinking everything's rosy. Well, not even us. Those 70s type housewives that still act that way or believe that way, that everything is so light and airy, and it's mainly because the husband's the one stepping out in the world. The wife stays in the house all the time or at the local grocery store where she's saying hi to the other 70s housewives. And they're all talking about how lovely and beautiful their kids have come up, and things are just so special. And then they've got these flowers growing in their gardens, and they're taking into the table, and all of that. And that's all fine and dandy, but there's reality there too. And you can't stay shielded from the world by your husband or by your wife if the shoe's on the other foot or whatever. The fact of the matter is life is there, and the world is full of both light and dark people, or light and dark sides to all people.
Right.
But the thing is, you bury a lot of things from yourself, then you're not going to handle certain situations that actually come up. What's the matter?
Oh, nothing. It's getting kind of hot in here.
Well, why didn't you turn on the AC? By the way, whenever you're recording, you're over here, and then you're right over here over the recorder and all of that. You're not going to be able to adjust the volume on that and make it right. Or perhaps you can, but it'd be a lot of work with the editing on Audacity. But light and dark aspects of yourself. It's very, very important to understand that and understand it of other people. Otherwise, you will underestimate potential enemies, people on the street that could harm you, Adolf Hitler types, James Jones, Charlie Manson.
Right.
The wicked stepmother who tries to pretend in front of the husband that everything is rosy and she's beautiful as hell, but then she tells the kid in private, you better eat this or we'll put you in the closet. You've got to understand that everything does exist out there, and it's more than one-dimensional or two-dimensional.
Yeah, and I think that's really the main point, is that you can't. Seeing the world in a a two-dimensional flat storyline. That's not really how it works. I mean,
no, there's a lot of stories out there.
Yeah, it's got the world, the universe has dimension. I mean, it's not like...
And that's what I was saying at another place, maybe in another video, is, if everything is so bland,
mm-hmm.
then we would all want to just off ourselves. I mean, it would be a hollow existence, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But instead, I mean, the beauty of the world is made up of so many different types that other people like to hate. Other people like to hate people in opposite religions, or people love to hate people in another country, or people with different skin tone, or whatever, But if it weren't for that, then life would be boring, and we would just have a hollow existence. I love the beauty and the difference of others. I love to hear from other people because I love to hear how different their day is from mine. Or how they believe this and things are this way with them, and they feed me a whole new other aspect of life or religion, when I've been seeing and studying this for so long that it could inevitably be boring to me if I let it get to be. The fact of the matter is their dimension adds dimension to my dimension.
Right. You know what though? I think there's a lot. I think that there's a lot of beauty, and there's a lot of fun even in being an equalizer.
Ask Kelly, she would tell you.
I mean, there really is, because it's like, okay, if you see somebody, I mean, it's...
If you're a big kid on the school ground that usually keeps quiet about everything, but yet you see this one big, heavy bully, beating up on this other little kid that's like 3 years his junior.
Yeah, you want to...
Then you want to walk over and feel empowered in the fact that you're bigger than even he is, and can place your hand on his head, pick him up and set him about 4 feet away from this other kid and say, you know what? If you walk across this line right here and you draw it with your foot, and enter in any place that is more than this, closer than this much space to this kid again, then you will be contending with me.
Right.
Then you've done something good and yet exercised your muscle at the same time, but for the right cause. And I think that I'm that big person. I can go into my dark self, but I let myself do it because there's a need for it at this one particular time. And it may be for me or it may be for someone else. But I feel that if I didn't justify first the idea of it and why I would be doing it, then I might be careless with it.
Well, yeah, because because if you're as you said, infinitely dark, people like that, that would be like your serial killer. So it's like, okay, well, you're not just killing this guy that pissed you off on the street. You're killing
yourself.
Well, no, you're also killing. Well, you're killing an aspect of yourself, and you're also killing, innocent people that really just...
You're killing light. You're killing love.
You're killing light and you're killing love. And there's really no...
And you're killing a part of yourself off, which is the light self.
And there's no use in it. And at the same time, on the flip side, if you're infinitely light, you're empowering those that need empowering.
That would smite you.
You're also empowering the people that would hurt you and that would hurt other people, So you're really hurting.
You're giving them a weapon.
Yeah, you're hurting your own cause. It's like, okay, well, I mean, you're giving them a weapon, exactly.
Right. And so when you're talking about those that say, and it harm none, implicitly, that this is the way it's supposed to be, that you are to harm none with your magics, would you extend that out to the same as far as physicality? I mean, because you're sending your son off to do battle with another country and murder a bunch of people that are murdering your people likewise. People are killing people physically, but yet they're standing back saying, and it harm none. Okay, but, I mean, this doesn't apply to the physical world likewise. I agree, and it harm none. But I say that with the need for protection, to protect your family, your home.
Yeah, it's conditional. I mean,
You know, it is conditional because you're not going to stand by and watch this guy rape your 12-year-old daughter in front of you.
And then
You're going to sit there and say, I'm going to sit here with my arms crossed and say, and it harm none.
Right, it's like...
You're going to go physically on this guy's ass and you're going to cut him a new a-hole. You're going to do something about what's going on there. The same as if you know that some girl is standing there sticking a doll with pins and needles magically to harm your 11-year-old son, you're going to sit there and say, and it harm none, and it harm none. You're not going to do that.
Right.
Even in Christianity, you're going to get down and pray that justice comes to this person. Right?
Right.
You know, what is justice? When someone is killing someone or someone is raping someone, justice is, you know, the same thing or more coming back to them. And that is what the pagans, the Wiccans, the witches, the shamans, and so forth believe.
Right. And
you know, for the most part, except for those that are crossing their arms and saying, and it harm none. You know, well, you know, okay, fine and dandy. But if someone is trying to hurt my child, I am going to do something. I'm going to go into my darkest aspect. And I'm going to fly a horde of angry demons up their ass. If I have that connection to the demon world, and my dark side does. She is all powerful. And she is old. Okay? So she has connections into that dark world. And she will exercise that on my behalf as she is a part of me. And therefore she is a part of my daughter. Or my son. Or my husband. Or mother. And I'm going to exercise that control over my life to what extent I can. To make sure that my life still stands the way it was. And that everybody I love holds strong and tight.
Right, and at the same time, I mean, you don't regret it afterwards because there was a reason why you did it.
You were given this for a reason. You are who you are for a reason. And everybody is all willing to believe in the God system. And they're also willing to talk about how the God system has a light side and a dark side. But are they willing to sit there and say, you know, but sometimes that dark side has to come out because it has a place here.
Right, it's all got a place. I mean, there's no reason to feel, the only reason to feel bad is whenever there's no...
When you don't control it.
Yeah, whenever you don't use reason, so to speak.
Whenever there's no reason and you're using it just to a bad end.
Yeah.
Whenever you become Charlie Manson or you know, and that's why your light side is there to balance that. Like, okay, recently I've done the video called, what did I call it? It was a video based around, and it was called Coming Out Fighting in My Darkest Aspect to take care of matters that have been long-standing. To take care of a problem that needs to be dealt with. That's what it was based on, even if it wasn't titled that. And, you know, I had a lot of positive feedback on that, but I had some negative. from people that didn't want to understand. And even had to unfriend one person that said that they have trouble not judging me. And one thing I can't stand is an overly judgmental pagan, even more than an overly judgmental Christian. So, I lost a friend there. Of course, that was my choice. I unfriended them. Because they sat there telling me flat out they wanted to judge me. And couldn't help but judging me. They didn't put it in that way, but that's what it ended up being. And simply because I was letting my dark side come out to deal with matters that my light side can't. And again, I want to emphasize that your dark side was placed there by the same God system that you're worshiping, that you're sitting there saying has a light side and a dark side to it.
Right, so don't be a hypocrite.
And that's one other thing that I made a point of in that video, as well as on my Facebook, is one thing I cannot stand and will not tolerate. This is a no hypocrite zone. Do not judge me if you do not want to be judged. And it was a pagan that wanted to judge me for my beliefs. I found that to be rather ironic. When our path dictates that we're supposed to be flexible, laid back, and here we come back to point A. Things that we talked about earlier. That we are supposed to be hippie, laid back, flexible, go with the flow, and understanding of all other people. Because we do not like it when other people within other religions choose to judge us. And here, I think we draw a good end to this particular podcast. And I think it was a very, very good and important subject. We've covered quite a few things here, I think.
Yeah.
Don't you? I really enjoyed this actual conversation. It's the most inspiring one that I've actually had with any other living being in, I think, the past year. Especially whenever it hits home with my recent mode of things. Right now, as we speak, I still have Callie sitting inside of me because she chose to come on her own during this ritual that I did in inflicting justice on those that would set against me with dark magic. And I thank her for being here with me through that. And so, yes, I am still somewhat in my dark mode, although this has gone on for 3 days and it's about tapped itself out. And Callie is leaving tonight, I'm informed. But she has brought a lot of knowledge and wisdom with her throughout this time that she's been here. And a new respect for other deities that are on the dark side of things. Anyway, so I'm going to close from now, and I think that I've gotten quite a bit out of this conversation. What do you think?
Yeah, it's been very, very, very mentally and emotionally stimulating.
Stimulating, that's what I was going to say too. I really agree with that. Anyway, I hope that you guys have gotten the same out of it. And really, do share with us your ideas on this matter in the discussion board below. Even if it does conflict with what we've said here and said. I mean, everybody has their own opinion, and they're entitled to vent that just as we are. You know, the same as you are open enough to sit here and listen to us on what we feel, we would like to hear what you feel. I may also start doing some live streaming as far as matters of spirituality goes, because I find that I open up a lot more whenever I sit here, and I don't worry about editing or trying to shape or create anything whenever I'm making my actual videos or whatnot. I find myself just drawing more into the topic whenever it's relaxed. I'm sitting here in my bed, you know, in a pair of shorts, laid back with the covers pulled over me in my bed, talking to my husband here about spiritual matters, and I find it just free flows a lot better that way, you know? How do you feel about that, honey?
Yeah, you're kind of free to. I mean, you don't have to worry so much about.
And no eyes are on you.
Yeah, no eyes are on you, so I'm able to. I mean, I'm actually kind of camera shy,
But you're doing this okay.
Yeah.
Although you open up more as you get to talking, but you've been away from religion for a while, so you're trying to open up more, I guess. You know, but when you, and I do know you, I've been with you for 7 years, and you've been in and out of religion at certain times and intervals, you know. And when you've drawn into it enough, and you've gotten used to talking about it more, then you end up saying a lot more. Where this time you've been kind of quiet, but you've talked more than what you have in a very long time. I know that it won't be long that you'll be opening up more and sharing with us a lot of your feelings on things. Anyway, this is Lady Leeanna.
Austin.
Coming to you with this podcast, our very first, actually. My very first on the show at all, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really enjoyed it. I've hoped that you've really gotten something out of it and that you'll tune in for more. Maybe we'll be doing more of this. You take care of yourself and merry part.